Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Truly, we're going to be tackling some stuff on AI that I cleaned up from this morning, but we got to cover these subjects. Anyway, welcome aboard in the house. Don't forget, those of you that are on Substack, the first few dozen we don't get, so just come on in and start telling me if you are inclined to give me your city and state so that I can give you a shout out. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. But the first one in the house today was Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. You almost beat Michael, Paul. You almost beat Michael. You didn't quite get there. Anyway, let's see who else is in the house. We got in the house Paul Fleming, Michael Rudnin, Paul from Powder Springs, Georgia. We got Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Tuscaloosa. Yvette Avery Harrod from Atlanta, Georgia. Paul Fleming. I got Paul. Man, you guys are filling up the chat early. Let's see who else we got in here. Well, that's a lot of stuff in the chat. I can't read all of that because we got a lot to cover. However, Marge KJ is in the house on Substack. That's the only one that so far has given her thing since I log on. I don't start seeing things until I log in. All right. Anyway, let's see. Michael says, Time Magazine, police are investigating a fire that burned down the home of South Carolina Circuit Judge Diane Goodstain, who had reportedly received death threats from a week related to her work. Yep, we got the mob mentality that's going on right now. People Magazine, South Carolina judge's homes erupt in flames with family inside after she ruled against Trump and began receiving death threats. No suspect. Police are still investigating. I wonder how much Trump is paying all these people that do these bad things for him. All right, we also got, let's see, what is that? 15-second video of the fire. Yeah, I'm not going to play that, but it was quite bad. The house is on a little island surrounded by, it looks like, swampy, brackish water close to the ocean. The Independent from Michael Rudnin. Greta Thunberg speaks out after being deported by Israel along with 170 activists. I understand they treated her real badly. Around 450 people were arrested. Then Israeli forces intercepted the global Samud flotilla. Greta Thunberg says we need to keep the focus on what the Israeli government and the IDF are doing on ongoing genocide, a man-made famine, as a blockade to prevent food, water, fuel, and medicine is leading to widespread starvation. This is a horror, and we can't look the other way. I agree. Let's see, like Berto, follow up from I am Blakely. No music, just in case it's not clearly audible. Let's see. Did we play that yesterday, Michael? One of the last video from Greta. Trust me, this will be worth the airtime. Okay, let's see what it looks like. I'm going to throw it out there for you just because you are Mr. Rudnin and you have a special feeling in our heart here, brother. So let me go ahead and get it set up to go. First of all, I need to move that back here. And then we'll go ahead and get it played for you, Mr. Rudnin. All right, let's see. Now, this is from Mr. Rudnin. So we will see if he hit the nail. Actually, this is serious. I shouldn't even be taking this lightly at all. Apologies. Let's see what it looks like. Para ver. There we go.
I just saw this that says Palestinians in Gaza leave a message on the beach to welcome the global summit flotilla. And they're carving in the sand, welcome global summit flotilla, break the siege. My message to Gaza is, first of all, I am extremely sorry that the world keeps betraying you, that our governments are still being complicit in the genocide, and that the world is still not hearing your calls to end their complicity. But also, and what is important to emphasize, is that we are millions, if not billions, who are standing with you and who will be supporting you in every step of the way. And this flotilla mission is just one of those examples showing that people are coming together and stepping up when those in power, who are supposed to represent us, cannot even do the bare minimum to uphold international law and prevent the worst war crimes from happening. I also want to say thank you for showing the world what steadfastness and resilience and resistance looks like, which the people of Gaza now, especially since the escalated genocide, have shown every single day.
Wow, that is so well said. I am so happy that a young woman like that is using her notoriety for something positive, not just, again, she got some notoriety and she's using it appropriately. I think she ought to be commended for that. California Representative Hoffman joins 24 California Democrats in calling for the release of U.S. citizens who were detained on the flotilla and detained in Israel. On October 1st and 2nd, the global Sumud flotilla, carrying over 450 participants from more than 40 countries, including nearly 24 U.S. citizens, was intercepted by the Israeli military. 21 U.S. citizens remain in Israeli detention, including 3 individuals who reside in our state of California. I wonder if my friend was there from Code Pink. I have a few people that we used to hang, we hung together at the Democracy Convention in, what is that town in Madison, Wisconsin? Wonder if she was on. I need to check that out. Anyway, welcome Bruce Poller. Thank you for liking the show. I really cleaned up the show this morning. I made a mistake when I talked about Marconi. I really wanted to say Tesla. Marconi was the capitalist who didn't really invent the transmission. It was Tesla. And the reason, I got all mixed up this morning because I wanted to say it's Tesla. He pretty much got no real cash value out of what he created, right? And it proves some of what I was saying this morning about capital invention and who owns what, right? So I corrected that in the cleanup that I did, and I did a whole lot of cleanup on the piece that I did ad lib this morning, and I had to change that little word from Marconi to Tesla, and I got it done. So you'll hear it when I play it. Anyway, who else we've got in the house? Oden, welcome aboard. Donna Carrillo Lopez, buenas tardes. Ed Cole, welcome aboard. And March KJ, I think I saluted you already. Democracy Now! Journalist Mario Guevara deported to El Salvador after being detained by ICE for over 100 days. Immigration officials reopened the deportation case after his arrest on petty charges that were almost immediately dismissed while live streaming. No King's Day protests in June. He is imprisoned in among the longest for any reporter arrested in connection with journalist work in U.S. history. Guevara, who founded the outlet MG News, where he received awards for his coverage on immigration, has lived in the United States for nearly 20 years. Well, you know what? My brother, I can't read it all, but I expect to hear things from him in El Salvador. Should have good internet in San Salvador, which is the capital of El Salvador. Afternoon to our sister, Yvette Avery Herod. Let's see, Lee Grant from Montgomery County also is in the house. E2247 is in the house. He says, ICE raid near Elsmers with woman denouncing agents. Heard about that as well. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas is in the house. Anthony Lefranco from Laguna Beach is in the house as well. Thank you for being here, Anthony. Let's see. I'm going back down. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. I'm remembering my city and states without people having to post them. You know, my mind is not completely fried yet. All right. Todd R. Barlick, welcome aboard, as well as Brenda Goodspeed. Welcome aboard. All right. I want to start with a piece here from what's her name? Let's get to TikTok. AOC, because AOC did a piece that I want to everybody to play. It's about this coverage. You know, everybody says these kinds of stoppages don't work. That's what they say. These kinds of stoppages don't work. But I think this one is going to be different. I think this shutdown, they're going to have to get fixed negotiations on the subsidies. I don't see how Americans make it without the subsidies, right? The mass casualties that will occur, I don't see how they do it. So anyhow, AOC was speaking to some of her people, right? I want to go ahead and play you this. Yes, E2247 always covers Israel. He keeps us, Israel and Gaza. He keeps us honest to make sure that we continue to cover it. And for that, we have to give the applausos to him. Absolutely so. But anyhow, here's what I want to show you guys about what AOC had to say, and here we go.
I pulled a Republican.
All right, let's go AOC.
Republican aside on the floor. And I said, hey man, there's no cameras around here. I just want to understand. Like, I'm not here to put you on blast in front of a camera. Just person to person. I genuinely want to understand, because people think that trying to understand another person means that you agree with them or that you're being soft on them. And it's a huge problem in this day and age, because that mentality really prevents people from being able to connect and persuade. But I pulled this guy aside and I said, hey man, like, I know that you represent a couple of rural hospitals, and this bill is going to devastate rural hospitals. I just want to know from your perspective, are you worried about that? What are you thinking about with your hospitals and your people? Because a lot of people don't know, like most a ton of ACA recipients are in red states. A lot of Medicaid recipients are in red states. These are like Trump voters that are almost disproportionately, in many circumstances, being negatively affected. And so I said, like, walk me through how you see this. And he was like, yeah, I just don't believe it. He's like, I know that you guys need to make a big deal out of this to like score political points, but I just don't believe it. And I'm kind of sitting here like, this data shows that this bill is going to devastate a lot of people. But a lot of these folks just like don't believe that data. You know, there was one hospital in one of these districts. I was like, yeah, we might have to close. And they are now on their back foot. Like, they thought this was just a Democratic talking point. And now that their own people are being affected and their own hospitals are warning them, they are now kind of low-key panicking.
Yep, they are low-key panicking. What that means is, to put it bluntly, they are panicking. And they're panicking to the nth degree. Look, what the right wing has done successfully is they have taken away the reliable sources that we were dependent on right? And to put it bluntly, a lot of this is the fault of the New York Times. A lot of this is the fault of the Washington Post. A lot of this is the fault of the Los Angeles Times. All these newspapers allowed themselves at some point in time to be held hostage by a failed government. Remember the New York Times and Iraq. Remember all the newspapers and Donald Trump not calling him out for the incompetent that he was or that he is. Remember how they made stories like throw the water out with the grandma. Remember how they allowed stories like Obama, the birther story, to take form. They were at the genesis of things like the birther stories. They could have stopped it cold. How could they have stopped it cold? They just had to use one sentence. Obama's mother was a born American citizen in Kansas. That's it. Once it's established that that Obama's mother was a born American citizen, it did not matter if he was born in Kenya. It did not matter if he was born in Indonesia. It did not matter where he was born. The news media, all the newspapers, instead of covering it like a legitimate story, should have educated the American population to remove any plausibility of Obama not being a born American citizen. They could have done it. But when they let stories like this get plausible, or maybe it's 50 of this or 50 of that, when you talk about false equivalencies, because our mainstream media had indulged themselves in that kind of reporting, it has opened the door for the right-wing kooks. And I'm not talking about the people that I'm talking about, those people that are changing the mentality, changing the wiring of all these other people. Because they did that, that is what we got. All right, since a person in the chat went ahead and put the word capitalism in there, I'll go ahead and start our program with the piece that I think is of utmost importance. I hope that you stick around and listen to it in its entirety. But I want, you know what? Yeah, let me make sure that I have it all connected up first, because I just got through processing it, and I want to make sure that it comes over cleanly. And by the way, guys, I also wrote an article to accompany this piece, and the article is titled let's go ahead and pull that article up, because I don't only want you to read or listen to this thing, I also want you to read the article for that corresponding video, and I'm going to stick it into the chat as well. Please read the article. The article also is necessary. I'm sticking it in the chats, and please share that article. Very important. Please share that article. Read it and share it. Did you include technocracy? Indirectly, Bruce. Indirectly. All right, let's go ahead and get it started, and then I tell you what, I want to ask a question. Should I take care of the AI versus capitalism first, or should I do the piece on Donald Trump putting us backwards in solar, in renewable technology? I'm gonna count till, let's say 30 seconds. And the first one that comes out, and tell me which one to go with. AI first. Okay. Somebody already said it. AI first. Let's go with the AI. Here we go right this minute. Para ver. Here we go. I want to get into some AI here. A lot of people fear AI. A lot of people think that AI is a bad thing. It's a job killer, etc. Is AI going to be a job killer? Yeah, AI is a job killer. On a personal note, I use AI to help manage quite a few things. AI isn't new at all. From the time we got robots, we were talking about AI. Look at what AI did to employment in the auto industry. Robots building cars. Every single robot that you see there replaced several human beings. Is it artificial intelligence? Hell yes. We just didn't have a fancy word to call it. We called it robotics, automation. But AI has been around for a very long time. But the growth of certain things, like the growth of cancer, is exponential. Let me explain. You have one cancer cell. The next iteration is each of those one cancer cells become two. So one cancer cell becomes two. Two cancer cells becomes four. The next generation becomes 8. The next generation becomes 16. The next generation becomes 32. The next generation becomes 64. The next generation becomes 128. That's called exponential growth. Every iteration, the growth rate is much higher. That's the same thing with AI. You first got a machine that did the calculations for you. Remember those old calculators? They were all mechanical. Tick, tick. You could do a whole lot of computations faster by having a machine do it, mechanical. Then we invented something called the transistor. The transistor did the same thing these mechanical things for a mechanical calculator did. It just did it faster. And then we went from transistors to microchips, which simulated millions of transistors on a little thing, and we could do things a bit faster. Then we got the computers, which was the conglomerations of microchips that created the CPU, the central processing unit. And then we got the software that know what to do. And all these things grew exponentially. So this fast-paced AI is something that happens in nature all of the times, exponential growth. And it's not hard at all to see that eventually this exponential growth, just like it got rid of workers in Michigan, would start getting rid of every kind of worker that it has. You no longer need to have these big, expensive call centers anymore. Because if you have a call center with a human being, every human being that joined that call center that gives you technical support has to learn about the subject they're giving you technical support in. Well, now we have AI databases that you build one time. You also have the AI database that listens to every phone call that's made to a call center so that they understand what kind of questions people ask, what kind of questions are answered successfully by the human beings that are hired and trained. And as the AI system, the database that's being built, learn about what's happening, that database gets built. And you know what's the difference between that database and a human being? That database never gets sick. It never gets ill or anything like that. So therefore, all that database has to do is mimic the things that it has learned from the human beings. And then we don't need the human beings anymore, because when you call a call center now, most of the times you get an AI bot. And most of the times that AI bot is pretty damn good. Now you have ChatGPT, another AI bot. You have Represent. You have all these different bots that you can ask a question. And because they have learned how to answer these questions from everybody on the planet, they do a fairly good job of it. Try the free version of ChatGPT. Ask it anything. You get good answers. I use a paid version of ChatGPT because this is what I do, right? This is how I inform you, etc. It's still not perfect. It makes mistakes. But so secretaries and engineers are getting replaced by a lot of these automation tools because it has learned from us. It has learned all these things that we do. And you take a look at the job you do every day. A lot of the jobs that you do every day are repetitious. You do the same thing every day. So you can get that automated. It's called AI. AI is also going a step further. It's learning how to do things logically. In other words, it's learning how to also teach itself the same way you teach yourself. You learn how to answer certain calls, and you know that the tone of somebody's voice mean you have to deal with them differently. AI now understands that as well. So yes, AI is likely to take a whole lot of jobs away. But is that a bad thing? It's only a bad thing in a capitalist society. Again, I want you guys to understand this well. It's only a problem in a capitalist society. The people who own capital. They pay for the engineers who are fomenting their own demise. They pay for the secretaries who are fomenting their own demise. Because under the pretext of this economic system, you pay somebody for their labor, you pay somebody for their intellect, and that person doesn't owe you who had the capital to pay for that. As an engineer, I build let's say an AI system that answers the phone for this company. They pay me one time and then I go home. I've used the knowledge that I learned from the internet, from how a lot of people answer questions and all these other things. And after that, they don't need me. They just need a maintenance structure to make sure the computers continue to work. When a chip goes bad, to replace the chip. Maybe any additional learning, because we've now taught AI how to teach itself. We just need a small amount of human intervention. And who makes a profit from having a call center run by AI? The capitalist who invested his capital to buy human intellect, to buy human know-how. That capitalist is the person who makes all the spoils. The same applies for that. Remember, I talk about exponential growth. That is repeated over and over and over again. In a capitalist society where we say the person with capital risk their capital and they profit from the risk that they take. That's a lie, but that's for a bit later. They risk nothing, but that's the story you've been told. They risk their capital and the reward for that is the profit they make from the risk they took in AI. It's not true, but that's what they tell you. So we accept that AI is going to cost a lot of jobs. And lucky for the investor, lucky for the small amount of people that are still going to be needed, lucky for them. There are two missing points here. One, if you don't have an employed populace, then the products that all this AI is going to generate, the faster cars, all the things that AI will generate, who's going to buy it? If you don't have the money to buy it, people won't buy it. But don't think the billionaires haven't thought about that. They have. In the long run, they will support certain types of taxes to keep money in your pocket to keep the economy going. But that's not where I want to go quite yet. I want to go to where the type of economy that AI should be creating and that we should be demanding. We have given the power, the economic power with capitalism to the owners of capital. Doesn't matter how they got that capital. The West Texas landowner stole all that land. They have capital and they can invest in AI. So their stolen property invested in AI puts you out of a job. And that goes in every sector. The person who found oil on public lands and are profiting from that oil on their public lands are investing in AI and all those data centers that take a whole lot of energy, etc. It's your money. It's what you created. You created your own demise. That's what a capitalist system does when it comes to who benefits from the spoils. It isn't true that these guys risk anything. When they risk their money for their projects that are not successful, they get that money back, because for the projects that are successful, before they make a profit on the successful projects, our government, we the people, allow them to deduct their losses from the projects that fail. So anytime you hear we have this system because we want to generate innovation, because if they don't see a profit in innovation, they won't innovate. The capitalists don't innovate. The people with capital don't innovate. The engineer innovate. The teachers innovate because the teachers makes us. The other people innovate. They create. The capitalists just put their monies out there. And whenever they make a profit, they're rich. And whenever they lose money, they write it off. So what should AI looks like, and what kind of an economic system allows for AI to be the right thing? First of all, I support AI wholeheartedly. I want AI. I want those self-driving trucks. I want those self-driving Ubers. I want all of that. I want us to have so much leisure that we can have more time hugging our children, that we can have so much time hugging the people we love, that we can have so much time enjoying nature, that we can have most of our times on vacation. Why? Because we work towards it from the inception of humanity that have socialized. As we came together socially, we have worked together to create things, to create tools. We created the hammer. We created the hatchet. We created the wheel. We created the machines that did all this work. We created it, not the capitalists. We did. Then you got some smart aleck that created a system where they could profit with their capital on your work. on the engineer, on the lawyer, on the guy who sweep the streets, on the garbage collector. All of those things are being consumed into the AI database so that eventually it replaces the actual worker, right? And I'm saying, replace the worker, please. Replace the worker. I want that worker replaced by AI. But what I want, folks, is I want us to have the laws that says the following. Eventually, we'll get to a 10-hour work week, And AI, which isn't the domain of the capitalists, the wealthy, it is our creation. It is your mind. Every time you make a call to a call center, you are training the AI system, the AI model. Every time you drive your car and get into an accident, you're training the AI model. Every time you lose your life from cancer, you're training the AI model. Every time you're cured from cancer, you're training the AI model. We are the inputs that creates AI. The capitalists pay some engineers to understand how to create the relational databases that allows AI to make the choices it makes, that many a times make better choices that we as human beings with a slower mind. In other words, the electrons in our minds, even though it's running in what's known a network manner, it's arranged much better than a von Neumann type computer, but the computer still, because we can apply the massive amount of energy faster than our brain. But we created that. All of us created that, from the janitor right up to the engineer, right up to the doctor. We created the data set that AI uses to do its job, and we are not compensated. I want to kind of go on a little tangent, and I'm going to use Oprah as an example. Oprah is a billionaire. Oprah became a billionaire because she was able to project herself over radio and TV, over the internet. She brought into America's homes things that America liked about her and about the advice that she gives, about the touchy-feely friend that she became to millions of Americans. And that allowed her to reap a lot of money for herself and became a billionaire. And a lot of folks would say, well, she lifted herself up by her bootstrap. I'm using Oprah because Oprah started her life as a very poor person, and she used the capitalist system to get very wealthy. Now, nobody should envy. She played by the rules and she did everything right. But did she really earn the billions that she has? You know, just like in AI, the long narrative that I just gave you with AI, that engineer who created Tesla, who created how to send electronic waves over the air, he never got wealthy from his creation, which has made Oprah rich. From the von Neumann computer system that allows her on the internet or allows the machines to work, none of them made billions, but absent their work, she wouldn't be a billionaire. She's a capitalist, but she wouldn't be a billionaire, right? We are all a collective. We are all interdependent on each other. And for us to say that the last person to use all the doings, all the makings, all the creations of all of us to be the ones profiting, that's a flawed, that's a failed economic system. Do I know what the economic system should look like so that it would actually be fair? Absolutely so. Can I build it? No, I need a lot of people more intelligent to build it. But what I do know is that the reason people are scared of AI is because of the indoctrination that's been in our heads for such a long time. To think that this economic system is God, to think that this economic system is what gave us our growth, etc. It's absolutely false. Inventions and creations have come from people from all over the world. And yes, capitalism can push invention, but it can also stunt invention. That's why we're still on oil. That is why we're still on these different things, because our economic system has prevented us from moving forward. And when they found an open door to make more and less of us, that's what they do. That's what they do. So my thing to all of you, and I'm coming close to time here, is not to fear AI. It's to demand that we are all compensated from AI. All of us. And how are we compensated? The 10-hour work week. The 10-hour work week. Everybody still gets employed. And for those who don't have a job, basic income, because the AI model was created by all of us, from even the vagabond on the street had a part to do in the creation of the AI model. Absolutely. Even the vagabond was responsible for the AI model Look, I can't play any of these things right now. I don't want to take any chances right now. It's getting tough on the way those of us who are on YouTube and play different things. So I have to be very careful on what I do there. Anyway, here is the thing. Yeah, look, going back to AI, Michael made some good points as far as not trusting the people who are managing our data, right? And there are a lot of folks who manage the data, a lot of different companies that are managing the data, the collecting, and there are a lot of people doing the collections, etc. In fact, you could theoretically speaking get a few computers and create your data set and create a distributive, a democratized distributive model. I'm waiting for that to happen. I don't think it's here yet. I could be wrong. I'm not like really following all the different distributive models that there are in whether they're very public domain crunchers of data, etc. I encountered one person at Netroots that claimed to have a computer's AI, a chat, in effect, a chat GPT on a box in their basement. That's what they were selling, not selling, but they bought a booth at Netroots Nation, and they had a chat box that you could do, and the chat box did very well. And supposedly it was on one computer system, etc., etc., etc. But look, what I'm trying to get across to people is this: the AI model, or AI, cannot survive, or rather, cannot survive for the masses in a capitalist system. And the reason why is that by definition, what capitalism is going to do is hire the most efficient employee. And the most efficient employee is the AI model. And if you're only hiring the AI model, most of the AI model, it means it leaves a whole lot of people unemployed. There are then two things that start to occur, right? One of the things that start to occur is, well, who build all the products that you're going to buy, that you're going to make? Nobody. Because all you need now is you are building a closed economy for the haves, and the rest of the people just become rentiers. And you can listen to a whole lot of what economist Richard Wolff talks about, because you'll get it. The problem with it is people allow terminologies to get on them, right? Oh, you're talking socialism. No, I'm not talking socialism. I'm not talking communism or anything. I'm just saying that the AI model cannot work in capitalism, because by definition, capitalism is going to get rid of the employee. That's their job. The job is the efficient allocation of resources and the maximization of profits for the shareholder. Once AI is born, working, and effective, you get rid of the least effective part, the least productive part of your institution, and that becomes the employee. It doesn't take rocket science to see that. And what that means is that by definition, right, AI model, capitalism, and complete humanity cannot coexist. This is not wishful thinking. All right, this is not some kind of a left-wing maniatic thing that I'm saying. This is just math. And when Bernie Sanders wrote a piece yesterday or a couple of days ago that talks about 97 million people losing their jobs, my first thing is like, okay, we got approximately, I don't know, what is our employer base, 140 or 150 million people? Yeah, that's about right. If not, it may be even worse than what Bernie is pointing out. Because again, let me just say, you take a look at a call center that hires 500 people. You can probably reduce that call center to 50 people. And those 50 people only handle the things that we are not sure of that AI can handle. Let's see, Egberto, I hope you read out. Those imperfections with generative AI responses you mentioned are worse than you think they are. Curse Against, my favorite science education channel, notes that generative AI tends to be 80% accurate and other 20% is misinformation, which has become popular on the internet with viral social modes. And the AI treats the viral misinformation as true. It's a current state. Trusting an AI response as factual is risky if you want to remain factually accurate. Egberto, I hope you watch this video. I'll take a look at it afterwards. But let me just say, Michael, first of all, that's true. I tell people when using AI that they have to cross-check whatever the results are that AI gives. And I do that diligently. I don't take what AI says at face value. I use other search engines that actually, go ahead. I use the newspaper of records, books, etc. I don't just go ahead and say, oh, AI says this, whatever. AI have given me bad information that I've published before and learned my lesson quite quickly. In fact, sometimes AI has a mind of its own. Imagine that. A mind of its own. Sometimes it just pulls stuff out of the air and puts it in a document, so you can't just look at AI. Now let me tell you how I use AI. I feed AI, and then I tell AI the kind of sources that I want it to use, and not the social media stuff that you're talking about. And remember, this is important for those of you who are programming and using AI, right? I type whatever I want to cite from AI responses back into Google and then look for that is a good way of doing it. And the other thing that you can do, Michael, if you have the paid AI, is you can tell the AI you can give it the instructions to source the data. And not only let's source the data from reputable sources and give you who the source is, that you can link back directly to the source. So there's a whole lot of that. Again, if you're using AI to write stuff for you and think it's correct, that's the wrong way to use AI. I give AI transcripts. When you see me do my videos and all that kind of stuff, that doesn't come from AI. That comes from here and research. I may pass a transcript through AI to get a summary of something, and then I'll use that summary and go ahead and test it. But there are too many people that are using AI just to do stuff. In fact, if you look at newspapers today, if you look at the Houston Chronicle, I saw a little snippet that says some of our stories are generated by AI. And I'm like, wow. So again, you have to be careful about that. You have to be careful. I can tell all of you that are listening to me right now, I use AI as an assist. All my videos are from my head and my research. I pass transcripts through AI, sometimes to go ahead and get additional links. Like, let me give an example. When I prepared the document that I prepared for this AI model, right? I went ahead and said, validate what I said about Marconi, because the truth of the matter is I forgot the battle was between Tesla and Marconi, and that's AI in effect said, oh, don't forget there's a patented between between Tesla and Marconi. Because what I told my morning audience, and I'm going to have to correct it later on, tomorrow morning, in fact, it's already corrected in the document, is I told them Marconi didn't get rich off of the transmission of signals. But actually, he was the one who capitalized and made a lot of profit from transmission of radio signals. The one who didn't was Tesla, even though most documents you'd find that Tesla is the original, I guess, discoverer, inventor, or however you put it, of transmitting radio waves. So there you go on that. Anyway, last subject that we want to talk about today. And beforehand, by the way, the telephone lines are always open. 281-823-7747. Again, that number is 281-823-7747. I'm going to put it in the chat in case anybody wants to call. But I think this subject is important, and I think we have to be careful that we don't get snowed on this subject. We don't get snowed on labels. I talk a lot about I'm an anti-capitalist. People want to put me in a corner that says, well, I am for Venezuela. That's BS. That is BS. I'm trying to put into people's head right now that our economic system is working exactly as designed. There's nothing in this economic system that is not true to form. By definition, it is behaving exactly as it should. Exactly as the math points out that it should be running. And until we get that in our heads and forget about the fiction of what people would have you believe. Would try to down you because you say, I'm not a capitalist because I have a heart. I'm not a capitalist because I'm moral. I'm not a capitalist because I believe in humanity. You have to remember to say that. And Mr. Boxall, who is here, I don't know that you would ever get it, sir. But there's no relationship between socialism, Marxism, murder, etc. I love to see how many say, look how many people socialism have murdered. How many people have capitalism murdered? I want to hear it, Boxall. How many people have capitalism murdered? What do you think these wars that we fight about, the domination of countries, are all about? In fact, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold off on talking about green energy till... Okay, let's go to Ray. Mr. Brackens, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Talk to me, my brother.
Am I live?
Yes, you're on.
Okay, yeah. You're right about the whole AI should give us back the dividends of all the work we have in the form of 10-hour work. And there'll always be jobs that require, some human effort. But, it seems like the way they're doing it now is they use the AI to tell you that your work is not good enough. And they're always moving the goalposts for human workers. And I know this to be fact, from experience. They use AI to compare stats and efficiency of human workers, and then it makes the job environment a lot more stressful and a lot more hostile because you're always being compared up against what a computer is saying you're capable of.
Yeah, look, you cannot... Look, what I'm saying is AI. You cannot fight AI and you cannot win against AI. The human being in the aggregate gets sick, make mistakes and all of that. And while AI make mistakes, when AI is on point and doing good, look, think about it. You can put something through AI and get an answer back in seconds. Not seconds, in milliseconds, right? So, you cannot compare the two at all. So we are, in fact, going to a place where AI is going to take over the things that human beings do a lot, that catches a lot of things. It's going to be, look, AI is going to be replacing radiologists and all these other people because AI can, a radiologist gets tired. They're looking at mammograms, right? And he's going to be scanning the mammogram, etc. Eventually, he gets tired. A lot of our mammograms go directly to India to get Indian radiologists to scan. What do you think a lot of Indian scientists are doing right now? They are learning from those radiologists, and they're making AI models that now are going to read, probably already reading your mammography and all these other things. And they're going to be better than human beings because they don't get tired. They don't close their eyes at some point to miss something on the sheet. And, that's where we're heading. And that is inherently not a bad thing. but the economic system that we have to understand that these models learn, all those radiologists that went to school, the models learn from them. So we have to kind of learn that. Now, when it comes to whatever job it is that you're being put against, brother Ray, is there's no way around that, right? The thing about it is, how are we going to use that data? And in capitalism, it uses that data to strangle you. What I'm saying is we have to have a different economic model. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just agreeing. Basically, you're right, and to your point, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's basically being used to strangle the workforce,
right,
to a standard that they may not ever be able to attain, and therefore, okay, they're going to say, well, you're not as good as they are, so we don't need you. And
right.
there needs to be more effort put into using the AI to help humanity, and maybe fill in the gaps where human labor is not possible, or maybe not efficient, in a sense that it just doesn't work with work-life balance. But
and the thing about it, right,
that's what it should.
Look, you are absolutely right, sir. Let me tell you, we need to let AI do what AI does best. If AI reads mammograms better than human beings, then AI should do mammograms. But of course, we still are going to have the human beings who are there to kind of validate AI. So we're still going to need the experts. But it is important that we do that. Look, we're getting a lot of background noise with you. That's coming over badly, Ray. So let's talk another time, okay?
Okay, no problem. I think I said what I need to say, but I keep on listening, Egberto, and appreciate
Thank you, brother.
all your thoughts and freezing.
Thank you, brother.
Ideas.
Great. You have a wonderful day. Susan, thank you for that. Yeah, let me tell you, what I want people to stop doing is being fearful of AI. I want them to hold it by the horns and force our government to change the policies that govern how it is going to be used, how it's going to be, its interaction between the workforce. And what that's going to mean is eventually we are going to have to, we're ultimately going to have to change the economic system. We're going to have to stuff capitalism into a little box worth, for things like having your restaurants and all that kind of stuff that aren't important, etc., that you may stuff it there. But we are going to have a more humane economic system. And I see all good things if we do it right. The 10-hour, I notice if you read my article, I talk about the 10-hour work week. That's what I'm talking about, the 10-hour work week. And to put it bluntly, maybe less, but I'm talking about the 10-hour work week. And again, basic income. All these things are going to have to fall into place for a new economic model because of how advanced we are. A new economic model. Look, I only have about 2 minutes and change left. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to go ahead and close us out. First of all, I'm going to ask those of you who are not yet paid subscribers to consider becoming paid subscribers of our network. We work very hard to bring these stories to us. Please go ahead and check out all the stuff at our site, what the things that we do. We make sure to keep people informed. We try to change minds. We work with absolutely everybody. So please check us out. To become a paid subscriber, you just have to go to politicsandright.com/ what is it? I'm getting old, politicsandright.com/ newsletter is where you go to become a paid subscriber. politicsandright.com/ newsletter. If you go to the about section of our Substack, you can see all the different perks that you get. I guarantee you it's going to be of interest. Anyway, I'm going to shut down a bit early because I have a few important calls that I have got to make before tomorrow morning. So I'm going to shut down a couple minutes early. I want to thank you for being here. I love you all. Stay in touch and please tell your friends about us. Let's go ahead and build together. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to hear your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.